The 10th Annual American Hardball is coming up Saturday, March 6th, through the efforts of many local volunteers. You'll meet one of them coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio. We're visiting with Betty Jean Thomas, otherwise known as BJ, the publicist for the 10th Annual American Hardball. Good morning, BJ.
Good morning, Greg. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for getting in. It is so exciting to think we're now less than a month from the Hardball.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting. It's March the 6th, as you well know.
Right.
And we're very excited about it.
Yeah, the Myrtle Beach Marriott Resort at Grand Dunes. Have you been up there yet, BJ?
Greg, I have. It's quite a treat.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when you walk in, you don't even know you're in Myrtle Beach. You've got marble floors, and the whole thing is just fabulous. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be visiting up at the Marriott with guests and other folks leading up to the Hardball.
Oh, that'll be very nice.
Which will be. Have you been in the bar up there?
Yes, I have. Quite exciting.
It is incredible.
And also, did you see the swimming pools? There's about 3 inside pools. There's a wonderful spa. It's just great.
It is amazing to see they use that much space. You know, oftentimes Myrtle's accused of just using the narrow spots to serve a heck of a lot of customers or visitors visiting the area. But, of course, they have really used a wide piece of land right on the ocean front up there around 82nd Avenue.
Yes, that's about where I live, and I love it. Do you realize that we're actually taking up 3 ballrooms for the Hardball this year?
I didn't know that.
Yes, we're only selling 900 tickets. And as you remember, last year it was a total sellout.
Right.
And, of course, they can get their tickets by calling the Hard office.
That's right, 626-3939. BJ, about yourself, are you originally from the area?
Greg, I've been here about 51 years.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, really have. Trust me, I don't look that old.
That I know.
My family, my uncle and my aunt, actually moved here from Charlotte, North Carolina in 52. Right. And then in 54, the rest of my family gravitated into this area.
What part of the beach did y'all live when y'all moved down?
Well, that's a very interesting question because actually I saw last week your interview with Dan Gray, and of course he was talking about living 4 blocks from everything, and so did Dino Thompson. Dino was in some apartments right down the street from me also, and then later I moved right across the street from the library, and across from the street there was the Myrtle Beach High School.
Right,
and so I just had a wonderful time growing up in the 50s, and I was so amazed when Danny, did they call him Danger Dan?
I think it was Dangerous Dan. That's
Dangerous
right.
Dan.
Yeah, last Friday.
That's so funny because what Danny doesn't know is he came up in the era when Elvis Presley was so big, you know.
Right.
And Danny himself has a fabulous singing voice. And so we thought of Danny Gray as the Myrtle Beach Elvis Presley.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes, we did.
Dan Gray was the Myrtle Beach Elvis.
Absolutely. He doesn't know it, I don't think. So I hope he's watching this program.
Yeah. I wonder if any of his kids have ever learned that. That's
no,
hilarious.
I don't think
I'm sure
maybe.
they rib him pretty hard with that.
Maybe we're breaking news.
You said living across from the library. Was First Presbyterian Church still there when you were?
Absolutely.
Right.
I went to the First Presbyterian Church and was very active in it, singing in the choir and teaching, and loved it.
Right. I think I saw in an article about you, BJ, a couple of years ago. I think it was the Coastal Carolina Business Journal did a big piece on BJ Thomas Limited, the amazing store that I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit about, that you had lived close to the pavilion, and at night oftentimes would hear things going on to kind of soothe you to sleep, a lot of the music in the area. What was that like?
Greg, it was wonderful because it was the time of year when you didn't really have air conditioning units, so we left the windows open, and I lived upstairs over, I think it was the Gloria Theater at that time, and then in the summer, of course, we'd go to sleep with the windows open, and you'd hear the merry-go-round and the crack of the waves, and it's wonderful.
Real vivid memories of that,
yes,
BJ.
Good ones.
Yeah. So you attended high school at Myrtle Beach High School.
I did.
In ninth grade, you got pretty active at some things in high school. What were some of the things you spent most of your time with?
I was very active in a lot of things, the drama club, the glee club, the newspaper, and things of that nature. And then, of course, in the 10th grade, I tried out to be a majorette and was lucky enough to be chosen. And the girl that was my best friend, who actually lived next door to me, right across from the high school, she decided that we would enter a national contest. And so we won 3 national championships, and our trophies are in Pepper Gettings Stadium.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you ever go by there and check them out or point them out to friends?
I really don't, but one of the funny things that happened, my son happened to be in Frank Beckham's office one day when he was in high school, and Frank had our pictures up over his desk, and my son came home and said, "Mom, I can't believe it. I saw a picture of you at Pepper Gettings."
No.
He did.
Oh, my God. That's
It was great,
amazing.
yeah.
That would be great. Speaking of children, is that son your only son?
Michael is my only son. He graduated from the Citadel, and then he did his graduate work in Savannah, and he now has his own firm called Opus in Hilton Head. As a matter of fact, you'll find this interesting.
Yeah.
You know the Riverwalk program over in Conway?
Right, sure.
Well, my son helped design that.
Is that right?
Yeah, he sure did.
Does he get up to the area much?
He does, because he's doing some projects here. He's getting ready to do some housing across the waterway.
Great, good.
So he'll be in town a good bit.
Has he brought any grandchildren into the mix or any children of his own?
Yes, finally, after 8 years, I have a granddaughter. She's 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
And they're expecting another daughter April the 16th.
Is that right?
Right.
Just a couple of months out?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Fortunately, we'll get the Hartwall behind us before
Yes.
that arrival comes, BJ.
Right.
I think I saw your senior year in high school. Am I correct that you helped open a baton school your senior year?
I did. It was a lot of fun.
How did that happen? What gave you the impetus to set up your own? I mean, was this obviously separate from school?
It was separate from school. I had my classes in the afternoon. I gave private lessons and public lessons. I designed uniforms, and I put these children in parades and contests, and it was just a desire I had.
Oh, yeah.
And was lucky enough to do it.
Have you kept up with any of your former students, BJ?
You know, Greg, I have not.
Yeah.
Every now and then I see somebody like Almalyn Thompson,
Right.
who took from me, and she's quite a character, and she enjoyed it so much.
Absolutely. Well, that must have been exciting. And you stayed in the area after high school.
I certainly did.
It's such a special place. And to think of all the growth, when you think of 51 years ago arriving in the area and to see where things are now, BJ, more than half a century later, how has that transition been for you? Of course, those prime years there in high school, seeing some of the growth even then, not really recognizing how that affected things, but now being able to look back on that. How's that been?
Well, Greg, it's just amazing, because when I grew up here in the 50s, we didn't even lock our doors. And, of course, now we have to have a burglar alarm. But it's been quite unusual to see it grow. In September, all of the tourists would leave, and I'd take my baton and go down on the beach, and there was no one there, and I'd do my practicing and just have a wonderful time.
Right.
So,
Wow.
But now we're what? Opposed to 300 maybe in the winter to maybe 3 million in the summer.
Right. Right.
And I think Myrtle Beach has handled this growth very well.
It has been amazing, and of course it's opened up so many doors. And for our viewers in the PD and southeastern North Carolina who come down here on a regular basis, a lot of them coming down from, I guess, the mid-'80s to just last year, the year before, we're seeing a Populous store very close to First Presbyterian Church. Can we talk a little bit about B.J. Thomas Limited?
Oh, sure, I'd be glad to. I opened that up in '85, and I took a year first, Greg, to take courses from Oklahoma State University, and I went to Dallas and New York and studied as much as I could to learn as much as I could. And it was an interesting business for 19 years. I loved it. I did a lot of fundraisers for, many fundraising events, and enjoyed that very much, putting on a lot of fashion shows.
Right.
So it was quite a learning experience.
So that year prepping, it really took a year to decide, this is it.
Yes.
I'm going to do it. It's going to happen.
Yes, I did do that. I opened in '85, and then in '87, I lost my husband. So it was a big decision as to whether I would keep the business open or close it. And I decided that I was going to try it. And thank goodness I did and made it.
Good for you. Do you have some fond memories, or what were some of the memories from that first year in business, BJ?
Oh, gosh, great. I don't even know if I can go back there. It was just my first order I placed at the market was a disaster. I tore it up, started over again. And my first fashion show that I did, I studied news commentators like yourself, and I thought I had to speak in a special way. And then one day my husband said, "Honey, why don't you just let yourself go and just commentate?" And so at that point I felt very comfortable and started doing my own shows.
Absolutely, BJ.
Yeah.
I think I also saw that you had emceed a Heart Association telethon for a number of years, maybe 6 or 7 years.
That's true. For 7 straight years, we had a telethon, and I actually I emceed the auction for 15 minutes after every hour. And we raised some real good money and had a lot of fun doing it. So I've been involved with Heart before.
Sure, I was about to ask, was that your first involvement with the American Heart Association?
I think perhaps it was. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then when I opened the business, I had to stop doing a lot of the volunteer work.
Sure.
And so now I'm back doing volunteer work again and have a great time doing it.
I saw, I think, even back before opening the business, BJ, that you've been very active with the American Cancer Society, and I think were recognized in 81 or 82 as a cancer, I can't remember the title, but a great award there for locally for someone who volunteered a heck of a lot of time with the American Cancer Society.
Well, actually, Greg, at that particular time, I was chosen as a regional chairman. We did a 7-year study, and that went on, like I said, for 7 years. So I've been very involved.
What was that study about?
Oh, it was on just what causes the disease and things of that nature.
Right.
Your eating habits and so forth.
Share with the viewers a little more about opening a business and then operating and exactly how that works, BJ. Of course, we got about 15 minutes, so a little time to talk about. Before we get into the Heart Association, getting ready for this year's Heart Ball, what was it like owning your own business, and who were some of your customers, or what was your typical customer?
Well, I had a goal when I first opened. I wanted to appear to the working lady and the country club lady. So that's exactly where I stayed. And I think that's why I was so successful, because some people start out in a business and the first year you're not going to be real successful.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
So I started out slowly, appealing to that customer,
Sure.
and stayed there. But some people start out and they get scared and they jump off into something else. And you've got to stay with one particular look so that your customer understands you and she'll come back. My customer was the local lady and also ladies from other states. We have a lot of tourists here, and they own townhouses and condominiums.
Right.
And so they would be in town 3 or 4 times during the year, and they'd come in and say, well, you're the first place I came. I couldn't wait to
Wow.
get here.
Oh, yeah.
So I was very blessed.
Folks would travel. I think I saw one of your customers had traveled up from Florida and stopped at a lot of boutiques in nice cities along the way, Hilton Head and others, Savannah, and ended up in Myrtle, and it was a customer for life.
That is a true story. And I also, I know you're going to interview probably Mickey Spillane, but Jane had a wedding. Her daughter got married in California. No, L.A. I correct that. And she bought her gown for me. And she said she had so many compliments.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's
She
a true
bought
story.
her wedding gown for a wedding in Los Angeles.
Yes.
She bought it here in Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely.
Golly, BJ.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's a proud customer, I'm sure. And the activities of maintaining that business but still staying active, and I think there were a heck of a lot of fashion shows that you were putting on a regular basis. Was there always a charity that benefited from those fashion shows, or was it just primarily to really get the word out about what BJ Thomas Limited was all about?
Well, I started my first shows just for the public at the Dunes Club with a luncheon, always a fashion show and a luncheon. And then some of the charities started talking to me, and like Habitat for Humanity, I did a big show for them at the convention center, and we raised quite a good bit of money. And so at that point, I just started gearing in on doing fundraisers.
And putting on a fashion show, what's that like, BJ? Working with a lot of different folks. Can you talk about that?
It's an education, trust me.
Yeah.
Yes, I can talk about it. I used local ladies here in the area, and we became very close friends, a lot of us. And that's one of the things I loved about the business. I made so many new friends, and I still have a bunch of them out there today. And actually, there are some people who want to do some fundraisers, and I've offered my service to commentate and do the fashion show for them. So maybe we'll be hearing about that later.
What have happened to your customers now that you've retired from the business, BJ? They must be frantic.
They're crying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Greg, so am I.
Yeah,
Like, where do I shop?
absolutely. That's right. What can you do?
Exactly.
What do you do? Tell us. Yeah.
Now that I'm retired,
Right.
I'm traveling a good bit,
Right.
especially to Hilton Head to see my granddaughter and my
yeah.
son and his wife. And I'm redoing some rooms in my home, having fun doing that. So, Greg, I find this funny. I was out the other day thinking about maybe perhaps selling my house and
Oh, no.
going into a condo, and this gentleman that was showing me some things over at the Grand Dunes, I was so amazed because he started talking about coming down here in the 50s when he was younger and how he shagged and everything that he did, you know. And I looked at my Aunt Betty and I said, I don't think I've heard anything about the real estate. I'm hearing about shagging.
There's so many things that folks want to get into, I guess, to also to calm folks down, to get them used to and excited about moving some real estate.
Oh, absolutely. So,
There's some great developments around the area. One last thing, BJ, before we hop into the Heart-Ball, I think I saw, wasn't there a Keep America Beautiful program that you've gotten real active with to implement a national program locally? Can you share with the viewers a little bit about that?
I forgot about that, Greg. Yes, I did. I was with the Keep America Beautiful board, and so I decided that what we really needed was to teach the young people about litter, its habits, and what to do about it. So I formed a program. Actually, some of the banks donated money, and I had T-shirts made up. Keep Myrtle Beach Beautiful Teens is what it was called. And the national level sent me some information, which I implemented into all the schools. And once a month, we would put on these T-shirts, and I would find a place that was just totally littered, and I would take these young people, and my husband went with me. We'd take the young people and go out and just clean up the whole area. And of course, they were going home telling Mom and Dad how to treat litter and what not to do.
Oh, yeah.
So it worked very well.
You got to get it with the youth. That's right.
Absolutely.
To reach parents oftentimes. It's so vital. That's so vital. Well, of course, Long Bay Symphony's been another love of yours, BJ.
Oh, dear.
You
It's
were
still a
active
love.
as the president of the chairman of the board for a number of years, as well as continue to volunteer your time to that organization. What is it about the Long Bay Symphony that keeps you excited and wanting to volunteer so much of your time?
I think perhaps the answer to that would be our young people. We started out with about 6 youth orchestra players, and now we have over 60-some. And we had a high tea last spring, the Guild did, and the young people played there, and it was just amazing. People couldn't believe how wonderful these young people were. And of course, I think it's a very cultural thing for our area, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. And we're hoping to put on the beach concert again this year. You know, Hilda Carter started that last year, and we had a total sellout. It was standing room only. So hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to release some information to the public about the beach concert again.
For a viewer who may have never visited Long Bay Symphony, what is it that should make them get out there when the season kicks off? And when do you have a ballpark idea as to when the next season kicks off?
Well, the next season will kick off in the fall. We have 2 more concerts to do this year. And the next one is March the 14th.
Okay.
And it will be at the Myrtle Beach High School. We're talking a little bit to the Palace to see if perhaps next year we might be able to do some of our concerts there, too. They're excited about it. And I think once you come and realize the quality of this organization and how it's grown. We're 16 years old. Dr. Charles Evans is our conductor. We brought him in several years ago from Dallas, Texas, and he's doing a wonderful job, like I said, especially with the young people, because he is teaching out at the college to our young people.
He's teaching out at Coastal Carolina.
Yes, he is.
And very popular. I understand he has an oversubscribed class.
He does. He truly does. So we're real proud of him.
And, of course, just going that, it plays on Sundays almost once a month. I think recently they were down in Pawleys Island performing, maybe this past week, and seem to be very active, performing all over the area. But it's probably one of the few symphonies. The next closest symphony would be where? And I guess one in Florence, one down in Charleston.
I don't think Florence has theirs anymore,
Oh, really?
but there is one in Wilmington and one in Charleston. But, Greg, I had the wonderful experience of going down to Pawleys Island this summer. We played down there for them, and they had a table decorating.
Oh, yeah.
And so they also gave prizes for this. And when it was over, some of the people came up to me and said, BJ, we had no idea how fabulous your symphony is. We were always going to Charleston or Wilmington, and now we'll be coming to Myrtle Beach. So that was good news.
Great, good.
Oh, also, Greg, we did this summer, we did that same concert at the Riverwalk over in Conway, and those people were totally blown away by how good we were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Did your son come up for that?
He didn't get to,
Oh,
unfortunately.
Gal, particularly with his tie into the Riverwalk there.
Exactly.
That would have been great.
It would have.
Well, of course, the big push is the 10th Annual American Heart Ball up at the Marriott Myrtle Beach Resort the Marriott Resort there at Grand Dunes.
Right.
Which is what, Saturday, March 6th?
March the 6th. And we start at 6 o'clock with
Okay.
heavy hors d'oeuvres and drinks. And, of course, we have a silent auction and a live auction. And we're real excited about that. And then at 8 o'clock we have dinner. And then you might want to tell the viewers our entertainment.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. Chairman of the board,
Isn't
which
it
will be a
great?
spectacular. And I think the entertainers or the executives who
Yes.
perform with them to make sure there's no downtime when chairman of the board actually takes a little break, the music will still be flowing all
Yeah.
night long.
It's going to be fun.
Now, BJ, what about if a viewer had never attended the Heart Ball? Can you give the viewers a kind of a virtual tour of what would happen if they arrived for this 10th annual Heart Ball for the first time at 6 o'clock that Saturday night?
Yes, Greg, they'll come in, and like I said, we're going to have heavy hors d'oeuvres and drinks, and that will give them time at that point to bid on the silent auction. And then, of course, later we'll have the live auction.
Right.
And one of the items that's been donated to me is a gold and diamond necklace from Pam Blair, who owns her own jewelry company. So that's just to give you a little
Yeah, this
hint
is a
there,
beautiful
tease.
piece here on your hand. Can you give the viewers, tell them a little bit about this piece? This is beautiful.
Well, it is 14 karat gold, like I said, and it's filled with diamonds. And I think it's going to make a great auction item. As a matter of fact, we'll probably have some wonderful, great auction items. We did last year, if you remember.
Oh, yeah,
Had a
very
lot.
definitely. And, of course, the live auction, there's 5 or 6 items each year that are bid at the live auction when all 900 folks are in the same room in there.
Oh, yes, quite. And I believe they're auctioning off that barbecue for how many? 50 maybe?
Is that right? I didn't
I
know they got
think.
one donated. That's
yeah,
great.
I think they did.
Good.
So that'll be good. And, of course, you want to talk about the menu, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Share with the viewers a little bit about the menu, BJ.
It's fabulous. We're having beef Wellington and cold lobster tails and desserts. I can't even remember. There were so many of them. But I think this is going to be the Marriott's way of really shining to show the local people what they have to offer to us.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. You know, last year, of course, it was the Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center's grand opening gala. And they more or less, the Heart Association was the beneficiary of that superstar night. This, again, a different year, is the Myrtle Beach Heart Ball. And it just happens to be at a beautiful new hotel that'll truly shine that night.
You know, Greg, something else the audience might want to know about that night. The Marriott's offering special prices for people who come in from out of town. And you know, we will have some people from out of town.
Oh, yeah.
And they're offering special prices that night so people can spend the night at Marriott.
Right, that's right. $79 for a garden view rate and
Right.
$99 for an ocean view. And, of course, the great thing is they can either call the 1-800 number or call locally the 449-8880 number.
Very good. I live right down the street, but I'm telling you, this is tempting. I might want to spend the night.
Yeah, for $79, that's
Right.
more than half off the normal rate up there. And, of course, it's such a great time when March starts kicking off with so many of the golfers in
Oh,
town
yeah.
and others coming down with the weather so beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful time to have this ball. And I hope everybody will, you know, start calling the office. The posters are going to be out, and then invitations are going to be sent out. And, you know, we're rolling.
Absolutely. And, of course, for a viewer who's never attended the Heart Ball, BJ, do you remember your first Heart Ball?
Wow, what a question, Greg. I don't know, but the viewers need to know this is black tie.
Right, that's right.
So
It
they may
is
not
black
know
tie.
that.
And to think the fillet and the lobster tail and all the amazing appetizers that lead into the evening. Of course, chairman of the board, such a special event. Did you see chairman of the board perform? Now, you didn't make it last year,
I
did
didn't
you?
make it
You
last
were
year. I was out of town.
That's
yeah.
right.
Sure was.
It's so tough to make them all.
Well, Greg, in my opinion, this particular ball is the who's who in Myrtle Beach. I mean, if you know anybody, you're going to be at that ball. And especially all the doctors. I believe all the cardiologists in the area were at the ball last year. And it was not a good time to have a heart attack.
Not a good, or a great time to have a heart attack.
Right.
That's right.
Either way you look at it.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Well, of course, the great thing is the Waccamaw Division of the American Heart Association serves both Horry and Georgetown County. And a lot of folks, it was exciting, so exciting last week to hear that a group out of Dillon who'd seen Tammy Eves on the show were excited. We're bringing a whole group. I think 10 ladies are coming down from
Wow.
a real estate group there in Dillon who saw an interview and got excited and making that trip. Of course, I hope they'll also support the Florence area Heart Ball or the Darlington Heart Ball and some of the other ones. But to be able to come down and stay at the Marriott for so cheap,
yeah, they'll
who would
enjoy
pass
that.
up that chance?
No, like I said, I might not pass it up.
I know. That's right. You live 5 blocks away, BJ. If you weren't currently so active in community service, BJ, what do you think you'd be doing now that you've retired from BJ Thomas Limited?
A very good question, Greg, because actually I'm asking myself that right now because, you know, I like to be involved, and especially in my community. And when my son was growing up, I told Michael, I said, I don't care where you live, but get involved in your community. And one of the first things he did was he started a Citadel Club at Hilton Head. So I don't know what I'd be doing, probably some more traveling, and I'm sure I'll be very active in community work.
You heard her give that good maternal advice to her son. No matter where you live, get involved in your community. Not only did she give that advice, but she takes that advice herself, and that's advice she'll be passing on to her granddaughter as she gets older. BJ, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Oh, it's been fun, Greg. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank B.J. Thomas and her amazing commitment to the community for making today's Carolina People so special. Get out there March 6th. Call the Heart Association office at 626-3939.